Lampy świecą, bankiet śni. Gram jak Giannis, tylko w przód, nigdy w tył. Skaczę wysoko jak Jamorat, tank nad głową, cała hala wstaje w takt. Gram jak Luka, widzę wszystko wokół. Asysta leci, to sztuka, nie pokój. Kiedy piłka w rękach, czuję tylko flow. Step back, trójka, Harden style, go. Obrona twarda, jak Gobert w pędzie. Ściana nie do przejścia, lecisz na desce. Czas na crunch time, zegar tyka. Kałaj jak robot, klacz bez pytań.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Lampe Śliwa Talks. My name is Karol Śliwa, and here with me, the one and only Maciej Lampe.
Thanks, man.
We've been doing this for many different outlets, but this is something we contemplated for many weeks now, maybe years. The thing that we wanted to have to share our thoughts on life, basketball, based on basketball. And here we are in our very first episode.
Yeah. It was one of my goals for 2025 to make a podcast, and who better to do it with you? I mean, well-respected sports journalist and, well-respected NBA journalist. I applaud you for your career. I mean, we've known each other for many years now. You're a referee as well in the Lampe Challenge, my tournament back in Stockholm, Sweden. So I thought that it would be good to do this in English, first of all, so that we can add subtitles for Polish viewers who don't speak the language. So the English lessons are absolutely free. And we're going to be discussing different subjects, not only basketball, but we're going to obviously touch everything that has to do with basketball. I think it's going to be good.
Since you mentioned your Lampe Challenge played in Stockholm, I have a story to tell. I told you this many times, but like the way we met.
Right.
So I was in Sweden. That was I don't know, like 2008 or 9, and I met your coach, Jokke Samuelsson.
Yeah.
And he thought I'm Spanish because I'm a little bit dark and stuff. So he said, and that was the year when you played. You played in Spain. Can't remember which team. And he approached me and he said, one of my players, my former players, is playing in Spain. Who is it? I said, Maciej Lampe. I said, well, I'm Polish. I know Maciej Lampe pretty well. I know from TV, obviously.
Yeah.
And then we changed emails and phones. He invited me to your Lampe Challenge, and then maybe we can say how we met each other. So that was, remember, 2013, just before Eurobasket. I approached you, and I said, I know your coach. And
I think so. I think we were at that school, right?
I think it was in Lublin. Remember Lublin? That was like pre-tournament, pre-Eurobasket tournament.
To be honest with you, I don't remember exactly when we met, but I remember you ever since. You've been coming to the Lampe Challenge for many years, and I've been following your career and your interviews. But the exact moment right now, I can't grasp.
Yeah, I remember the exact moment because you texted me afterwards, and I think this is where the trust has started to build, because I met you I was Polish. I am Polish, obviously.
Right.
But from the different angle. I wasn't somebody who wants something from you. I was somebody who was from that environment.
So let's clarify that. So my experience with the Polish media has not been good, pretty much ever, due to me growing up in Sweden and then basically, joining the cadet national team. So I had to pick national teams or where I wanted to play. We chose Poland because they were better at the time. And also because I'm Polish, I grew up in Sweden, but I'm 100% Polish. And once I got to the NBA, when I was 18 years old, I remember in New York, we had Polish media come through. And, since Poland don't have basketball culture and don't know much about the game, I mean, on average, if you take 1,000 Polish people and you put plays in front of them, who's going to tell you which play was good and so forth? Honestly speaking, maybe 2 or 3% knows the game. So when they were coming to New York, they were asking me ridiculous, stupid questions. And I told them that I don't want to deal with them. So when you approached me saying that you were Polish and I mentioned the trust thing, I was happy to see somebody that had a little bit of a different mentality. I mean, you grew up in Sweden like me as well. And, I wanted to build trust with you, and I wanted to have somebody in my life who I can share my story with and who believes me, because there's been a lot of articles in the Polish press written about me that are completely incorrect and not true. So we're gonna get on that this year. This is an obstacle that I've just started to tackle. I did that just last week, actually, in Barcelona with this newspaper called El Mundo Deportivo. So I just Googled my name, and I saw an article from January 15th, which had complete bullshit. Just nothing was correct in it.
Made up?
Yeah, I mean, it was the teams weren't correct. Nothing was correct in this article, really. So I tried calling them, and nobody was really answering the phone. So I just showed up there. Yeah, I went to the office. I Googled. I went there, and in security, they're like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Well, this person has written some BS about me." And they were like, "Hold on." And they called the guy down, and the guy's like 21 years old, super young kid, starts to apologize. Said it was false information. And they actually just came out from another article that was published in 2020 saying that I kidnapped my son with apologies and redoing that article. So that just came out 5 years later, And they basically took that article down that they had put up with all the nonsense and made another interview, which just came out on Mundo Deportivo. It's on the digital website, and on paper it's going to be next week, and it's also on YouTube now. So that process went extremely well. And when it comes to athletes, like when I played, I didn't care. I didn't have time to worry about what people were writing about me, especially in Poland, a country that I didn't grow up and had really no ties with. But now I do care, because now I understand that, they can really bring your name down and your value down by, writing misinformation. And so that's another obstacle that I'm going to start tackling with Polish newspaper here in 2025, because they don't have the right to write lies about somebody. So, yeah, just wanted to share that.
Going back to building our relationship, I remember once I visited you in Barcelona. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I was at your place. Your wife made some food, and we were
My
watching.
wife?
Your ex-wife.
That's the false.
All right, the woman you've been with at the moment.
Well, I've been with a lot of women. I think you're referring to the mother of my youngest son, Adam.
Exactly.
And this is another thing, like in the Polish media and other places, like they keep writing my wife. Where have we been married? Where?
I don't
When?
know. I'm not the priest.
You don't have to be the priest, but to be legally married in Poland, you have to marry in church and in, what is it called?
Some institution.
Yeah, which we're not, because we didn't have any documents, basically. So it was only a baptism. So I'm not married in the country of Poland, and I'm not married in any other country on the globe. This is proven, and this is something that the media has to change in all of those articles that they've written.
Good for you, I assume, from the economical point of view.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a crazy story that we can get into maybe on another podcast when we're
Absolutely.
discussing all of these
Absolutely.
things. But yeah, just the story of an athlete. I was 15 years old when I left my household to play professional basketball. I was very naive to women. I've basically gotten to know women over the last 3-4 years when I retired, to be honest with you. So this is something that's an interesting topic that
It
I think
is,
we should bring
absolutely.
up on another podcast.
We will touch it definitely, but the thing I wanted to say, so we were watching the game that was playoffs, Sixers against Heat. So we watched the game, and from time to time you stop the game, and you ask me, "What do you see?" And I answer the question, and I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying what I see. I say, "All right, next one." 10 minutes later, next, what do you see? And then you stop the game from time to time. You ask me questions about random players. Mike Sweetney.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah.
Mike Sweetney, the same draft, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy story.
So I guess, probably, you can answer now. Was it like you've been testing me? How much do I know basketball? How much I'm into it? And I guess, I passed the test, I guess.
To be honest with you, I don't exactly remember, but when I watch basketball, I like to watch basketball with people that understand the game, because like I told you, like an average Swedish or an average Polish person, if you put 10,000 people together and you watch this game, not a lot of people know what the fuck is going on. Like, they don't know about the 5 fouls. They don't know how to differential plays, if it was a good play, if it was a bad play, how the pick and roll coverage is being played, basically the strategy of the team, So I just wanted to get a feel for you, obviously, and see where you were at with that.
I always say basketball is not for everybody. Like, you got over 70 pages of rules, over 70 pages of official interpretations.
It's complex.
It's complex game.
Yeah.
Like, with 24 seconds, 14 seconds, 17 seconds, whatever.
Yeah, 3 seconds.
3 seconds, 8 seconds, 5 seconds. The things you can introduce somebody to a sports like, I don't know. I'm not shitting on football, but it's much easier.
That's why it's more watched.
To introduce somebody to basketball, it takes time and effort. Like, and you could tell. I always say, like, you can pretend you're good at football just by running and putting your
Right.
effort. But as soon as you see somebody dribbles the ball, as soon as you see
Right.
somebody taking a shot, you say, okay, this guy never played basketball.
Yeah,
right?
and what's crazy about that, the game is played differently on different continents. So like the EuroLeague game is completely different to the NBA game. Now they're talking about merging, but yeah, it's different. And if you're not really into the game, if you haven't grown up with the game, like the average eye don't see those things exactly. Yeah.
All right, since it's our very first episode, I wanted to go lightweight. You wanted to bump me with subjects, like heavy subjects, like women in your life or stuff like this. I say, let's save it.
No, I didn't want to talk about women in my life. That's
let's
a
save
lie.
it.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Let's save it for the second one. Let's go with the first one, like your career in NBA. Your starting five based on your teammates.
Wow. Okay.
I go with my five. Let's say if
Okay,
you
go ahead.
if you like it,
All right.
if you like it, or well, I went talent wise. You can go many different directions, but
So I think I should do like NBA and European and the NBA. I think
let's
it's
just
different.
split 5 NBA players and 5 Europeans.
Okay.
So the man in the middle would be Yao Ming.
Is that a question?
For me, it's Yao Ming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No? Yes or no?
For the NBA one,
Yeah, for the NBA.
No.
You had Dikembe Mutombo as well, but Dikembe Mutombo was, well,
Kevin Mutombo was he was a great basketball player. Don't get me wrong, but he was even a bigger and better person. He just passed away, so rest in peace, Big Deke. I played with him on the New York Knicks and the Houston Rockets. He was a role model. He was an amazing human being, opening up many hospitals and clinics in Africa. So you will be missed. And but yeah, Yao. I played with Yao as well. Yao was, I don't know how to say this correctly. Like, he was just a good dude, like the Chinese are, very humble and stuff. He lacked a little bit of that aggression. His body went through hell in the NBA. I mean, hell. I remember watching him on the plane, always having shin splints. His weight, like his leg was like my body, one of his legs. Huge guy. Great person also, but I wouldn't put him as the best center. No,
so who would you have?
I would probably put Shaq as center.
Did you play with Shaq?
No,
No, I'm just saying the players
that I played with.
you played with or
Okay.
shared the locker room with.
Oh, okay, got you. So in the
So that would be
NBA,
Yao Ming or
at the 5.
Mutombo
Yeah, I guess at the 5 I would put Yao.
over Mutombo.
This is the thing though, like right now in basketball, the way the game is being played is not the same that the game was played then.
It isn't.
So now if you're asking me about the center now in today's game, I wouldn't pick any of them. I would pick somebody who runs the floor, doesn't have really a post-up game, somebody who can shoot from the outside. That's the type of center I would pick in today's game. Now, if we're going back in time and we're talking about those days, then probably Yao.
Yeah, let's go back in time.
Yeah.
I also have a story about Mutombo. I was that was in Manchester, England, and there was a game between Thunder and 76ers, and I took part in 3-point contest. I won eliminations, then I went to the final, and then I'm in a final with the Spanish guy.
I heard you were pretty good at the 3-point contest.
I am.
Yeah, that's good. You should be in the Lampe Challenge 3-point contest.
I'll try. So I'm in the final with the Spanish guy, and then John Amici and Mutombo, they come. They introduce themselves. They don't have to, but they do it anyway. And Mutombo, he shakes my hand, and I feel like I'm having a saddle on myself. Like his hands are huge. And he says to me, listen to this, just close your eyes and let it fly.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I mean, The first time I met him was in New York when I got drafted, and I remember him taking off his shoes in the locker room. And these shoes are like size like 57 or something, so it's like ridiculous.
You
like,
could use it as a backpack.
like
one
it's
of the
ridiculous.
shoes.
Like you can put your dog in it, you know, like your baby. Like it's kind of weird. But when he took off his shoes and I saw his feet, I mean, he looked like he'd been running in the woods, barefoot, like toes going in a different direction and stuff like that. So yeah, just a really great guy, a really great teammate, somebody that I looked up to in my career, and always, extended his hand if you needed something, if you needed to talk about something. Just a huge figure, man. And I was extremely sad to find out that he passed away.
All right, power
Yeah.
forward. I would go with Amari.
Yeah, probably.
In his prime, he was one of the best, like all.
People don't realize
All
how
NBA.
easily he palms the ball. His hands are huge, and he jumps off the 2 feet extremely, extremely well. So all of his dunks, if you see all of his dunks, it's palming the ball and jumping off of 2 feet. He later developed more of a, shooting touch and more of a game, but yeah, extremely powerful player. Was my teammate for about 2 seasons, almost a year and a half there in Phoenix. Got along pretty well with him. Converted to Jewism. So yeah.
Yeah, about this, I had a chance to talk to him, and well, we had a pretty nice conversation. First, he thought I'm just a fan, but then he realized I'm a journalist. But I say, okay, since you're here, let's talk. And we touched on that subject. He's been looking for his Jewish roots, and apparently he found something, right?
So one day he comes into the locker room with Black Jesus tatted on his neck. I just start laughing. I grew up Catholic. I don't think you should, put white Jesus, Black Jesus, yellow Jesus, brown Jesus anywhere in your body. But Amari, he had a crazy sense of confidence. He came up and he put his whole family on his back. So you have to try to understand the person where he's coming from. And then, he found religion. He found Judaism. Am I saying that correctly? And he seems like he's happy. Hopefully we can get him on the podcast and talk more about our journey together. He was a good teammate of mine, and we're still in touch on Instagram. So hopefully we can get him over here some of these days.
So small forward, Tracy McGrady.
Yeah. Tracy was a bit of this guy who didn't show up to practice. He was this was the Tracy McGrady in Houston. So he had just reached prior to this superstardom, right?
Yeah.
And in Houston, he wasn't really super part of the team, in my opinion. I don't know his situation, if he wasn't really happy or what was going on, but it wasn't like he was one of the pillars in the locker room. He was kind of missing in that season. And I remember...
He had some back issues, right?
I don't know exactly, but I remember Van Gundy coming in to the locker room and giving speeches how it's not acceptable that he's not here and he's not traveling with the team and this and that. Yeah, he was just on another note back then. And that Tracy McGrady that I experienced then was not the best version of himself, So at the 3, from players that I've played with, like teammates,
James Posey.
I would go with Joe Johnson. Yeah, Joe.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Joe is underrated. You don't need a whole team of superstars, on your team.
No.
You need people that fit. Joe was the guy who would stay after practice and put up 500 shots to 1,000 shots with the assistant coaches. And he was... you can see him now. I mean, what is he, 45 years old, doing hot yoga?
He's so
super
much into
healthy,
it.
super cut.
Yeah.
So, I would take Joe Johnson over Tracy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And now I was a little bit confused with guards, so I went with, I'll tell you 2 already. Steve Nash and Chris Paul.
That's the two that I was thinking of.
Yeah, you cannot. I mean, you could make a case one over another, but I didn't want to like put like random.
So Chris was
shooting
with
guard
me
over.
his rookie year. So when I was playing for the New Orleans Hornets, Hurricane Katrina happened, and then we had to move to Oklahoma City, and that's where I experienced Chris as a rookie, and yeah, he's amazing. He was one of the best point guards I ever played with. Just the poise and
One of the best or the best.
I didn't play much with him, so I can't say he was the best.
All right.
But I can say he was one of the best.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I played more outside of the NBA than I did in the NBA. I got drafted very young, and I was there, based off potential. The NBA gave me a lot, taught me a lot, but yeah, I think I would. Chris was a rookie when I was playing with him, so it was his first and his second season, and Steve wasn't. So I can't compare Steve's rookie season to Chris's rookie season. But I remember when it comes to Steve Nash, his individual workouts in Phoenix when I was there, on another level. I mean, on another level. He had a guy, he was doing one-legged squats, shooting the ball, just like penetrating, doing stuff off of 1 foot that requires tremendous coordination and ability. So I think I would take Nash over Chris at this moment. Yeah.
Say something more about those trainings, Nash's trainings.
So there's not like I saw, so many of them, but he would. This was the year where the Phoenix Suns would be able to compete for a championship. So we had Amari, we had Joe Johnson, we had Steve Nash, and we had a pretty good supporting cast there. So it was the teams that were on the rise. Later they added Raja Bell, and that was when they lost against the Lakers there with that controversy play when the guy stepped on the line and all this stuff, and that buzzer beater by Kobe, right? He would just do unorthodox things. He would have this guy come in, and that was his trainer, and he would do a lot of balance work. So he would do like, RDLs into a shot, basically penetrating at full speed and stopping, just like Luka is doing now. A lot of off balance, two hands shots that you don't see, flicking it off the backboard like this, and penetrating the lane and being under control, not using your dribble, and a lot of balance, a lot of deceleration he was doing, yeah.
That's interesting because it translates to his game, the way he played, like one-legged floaters,
Exactly.
one-legged shots. Something nowadays people do, but back in the days people do.
I think it came also from Dirk's workouts.
I would say so.
Yeah, I've seen Dirk workouts. So Dirk would start his workout on the free throw line, and he would just basically sidestep to one side, land on that leg, so you land on your right, and go up directly into the shot. And it's all about balance, So if you go left on one leg, balance. So then later on in the game, when you have two legs, it just makes it so much easier for you. But everything with the shot is balance, if you think about it. If you have good form and good balance, and you're able to pull up from anywhere, you're going to be a threat. Yeah.
All right. How about the coaches now? Since we have the starting five, that was once again Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Amari, Joe Johnson, and Yao over Mutombo.
Sure.
That's a good five.
Yeah, not bad.
That's a good five.
Not bad, yeah.
How about the coaches? I would go with Van Gundy, D'Antoni, and I wouldn't go. Who was the coach? Was it Isaiah Thomas?
No, he was the GM.
It was the GM. Who was the coach? I can't remember.
The coach was... Good question.
A few moments later.
Don Chaney.
Don Chaney.
John Chaney. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So Knicks coach Don Chaney. I wouldn't go with him. Or would you?
I would not.
No.
No.
So that's the question between D'Antoni and Van Gundy.
I'll take D'Antoni.
Why?
Well, I was a young European big man on the Knicks, which were one of the worst organizations when it comes to the NBA franchises. I mean, for me, it was hard because it was the first time I was by myself without my parents in a different country. And their practice facility is about 1 hour and a half from where they play in Westchester, White Plains, in comparison to the Madison Square Garden there. So I would literally spend like 3 hours a day just in the car because I had to be early for practice and I had to stay late, So I had to be there before the game and I had to stay late, and the same thing with practices. So I would just spend a lot of time in the car. When I got traded to Phoenix, since I was European, Mike D'Antoni coached in Europe. He really took me under his wing, and that's where I had the most success in my NBA career. So I would definitely take Mike D'Antoni. I hope he's doing well, and I hope we connect soon, and maybe even have him on the podcast in the future.
Why not? I
Right.
had a chance to talk to Van Gundy about you. That was in Manila, Philippines,
he
at the
told me,
World
yeah.
Cup. I asked him about you. He said he remembers you vividly, and he said, well, I felt like he's trying to, explain himself, because he said Maciej did everything well. He was great early for the practices, staying late, doing everything I wanted him to do. But that's this business part of the NBA.
Yeah.
Sometimes you cannot find minutes for everybody.
I was fine with it. I like him. I like Coach Van Gundy because you see the passion and the love of the game. I mean, going through his career. Remember when he got punched?
Ah,
These type of people, they will always be in basketball. There's people that come and go, and then there's people who really, really, really live and love the game, and he's one of those guys. I remember when I got traded to Houston there, and he told me exactly what he expected from me, and I just tried to fulfill those requirements, That's it.
he's
But-
now on the Clippers roster,
Oh, he is?
coaching staff. Yeah,
Oh, cool. With Sam Cassell.
with Sam Cassell.
Sam is...
No, Sam is working for the Celtics.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next NBA champs.
Yeah, you're testing me all the time.
I think so, bro.
Yeah, I
would
was
put my money on
was
the
talking to
Celtics.
him in Abu Dhabi last year. I mean, this season last year. Yeah, he's on the Celtics coaching staff.
Cool.
All right, so now let's go with the Europeans. I to be honest with you, I didn't follow European basketball that much, but I'm happy to hear your starting five. I have Navarro as a point guard.
Navarro's not a point guard.
Technically,
He's a two guard.
oh, or whatever. But he's like Steph. You cannot put him in a box.
Is he like Steph?
Kind of like
Yeah.
playing with the ball, being responsible for.
He's not bringing
scoring.
the ball up, though.
No, he's not.
I like Navarro. Talent-wise, one of the big, if not the biggest talent I've seen. Work ethic-wise, not so much. But talent-wise, just the way he would come into the lane and shoot that bomba, and he had it like, he can shoot it straight, and he can shoot it off the side of his head. So it's very hard to block. So he would penetrate, and he would shoot this floater, which is impossible to get as a big man. He would make them consistently, and then his obviously his three-point shot. But for me, he's more of a two-guard. On the point guard position,
Huertas.
I was thinking about him, very talented. We've had success together. I'm trying to think, like, in the beginning of my career there, so I don't miss anybody.
Because you play.
I have to mention one guy who was kind of we had some arguments. I'm not gonna lie. Is Marko Popovic, an undersized shooter, point guard who basically looks for the assist pass all the time, But I have to mention him, and I would also mention in the Kimki days. We had Daniel Ewing.
He played in Poland,
Daniel Ewing.
season or two,
Yeah.
and the Clippers, from what I remember.
Yeah, Daniel
Short
Ewing was
episode.
pretty good because Daniel Ewing did not need to score. Daniel Ewing was really a facilitator on that team. For a point guard, you want to have all bases covered. So, obviously, basketball for point guards is played a lot with pick and roll. So if you have a point guard who can't shoot, that's a bit of a handicap.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? If you have a point guard who can't pass, then you have a real problem, right? Or if you have a point guard who is too little and can't defend, that's another thing, So you got to figure it out. But I also have to mention a Russian point guard that I played on Unix with, who is just a beast, man. Like, he didn't play great all the time, but this is the type of dude that when you needed him, like when you really needed him, Like he would just run through the wall, and that was Piotr Samolenko was his name.
Oh, I don't know him.
Yeah, he's a Unix Kazan legend. He's from Tatarstan, Kazan, and I had the chance to play with him for 2 seasons there, and we won the Euro Cup with him.
Sergei Monya,
On the 3 from players I play with,
let's say.
there's another guy that we don't really always seem eye to eye, but I gotta go with Kelly McCarthy. Kelly McCarthy was already kind of established in Russia when I arrived, and I actually arrived to Dynamo St. Petersburg. It's a funny story. I land at the airport. There's a driver there. I get into the car, and he's going like 170 kilometers an hour, and I'm like, "Hey, police," and he's like, "I smell police." Takes me to the hotel. Next morning we got practice. Get to practice, and everybody's like weird in the locker room talking about something. I'm like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "The team's going bankrupt." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, there's no more team. We don't have to play anymore. The team is over." I'm like, "I just arrived." He's like, I'm like, "Come on, let's practice. We're here. We're at the gym. Let's make a practice." I destroyed everybody. And they saw me on one practice. And then Kelly was going to another team. He was going to Khimki Moscow and basically put in the word and what he saw in practice. And I got the exact same deal that I had in St. Petersburg, but in Moscow 3 days later. And we've had success with Kelly. Kelly played with me in Khimki, where, we put that team on our back, man. Like, it's sad what happened now with that organization. Hopefully they'll build back up. But when we were playing there, we were always, first year we were third, but after that we were second in Russia, and you think second in Russia is not good, wait till you play CSKA and you play 8 against 5.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I regret those days, to be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't following European basketball that much. I was following the scores, like the way you were in the
It's hard to follow.
It is. It's extremely hard to follow, and for me, being so much into the NBA, it takes so much time. And it takes so much time. B, as you say, it's difficult to follow. Maybe nowadays via streams, legal or illegal, doesn't matter. It's a bit easier, but still takes time and effort too.
I wish it was more organized. And I think we're coming to that now, where the NBA wants to merge and expand into Europe. And I think it's good for basketball, because right now, like I told you earlier, like basketball is played so differently in different places, right? The rules change, how you play the game. Like, for example, in China, they mimic the NBA. So you have 12-minute quarters with a lot of bad possessions, like a lot, you know what I mean? Even in the NBA, there's a lot of bad possessions. That's why when the commissioner of the NBA came out and he was like, I like the idea of playing 10-minute quarters, like, it really got me thinking, like, okay, for the players, is it beneficial? Yes, very. That's 8 less minutes a game. That's, I don't know how many bad possessions less a game, and that's just more years in your career.
But you would still have bad possessions within 10 minutes quarters.
If you play 30-minute quarters, how is your focus?
Well, that's an extreme.
I'm just giving you an example.
Extreme.
If you play basketball for 10 seconds, or any sports for 10 seconds, and you can lock in those 10 seconds, you're very concentrated because you have only that amount of time to prove yourself.
Well, that's
The
true,
longer the game, the more inconsistent it becomes.
No, but I would say, like, if you go into two different extremes, like 30 minutes and 10 seconds, obviously you're two different extremes. I would say, like, this potential idea, it's just based on the money, based on the product, because, he wants to have it within 2 hours NBA game, but he doesn't want to give up on commercials. He doesn't want to give up on timeouts. He wants to have this product to have it within 2 hours.
I just like it because it would be played the same way everywhere. Like, if they do 10 minutes per quarter, China would do 10 minutes per quarter. That's what FIBA is doing, right? So that globalizes the game immediately. Because right now we're watching the NBA and we're looking at, oh shit, somebody had 40 points, somebody had 30 points. They're playing 8+ minutes. Look at the Chinese league. You know what I'm saying? People scoring 50, 60 because it's bad defense, it's bad basketball. Now, if you globalize it, if you play the same amounts all over the world, okay, people's statistics are going to drop, but that gives you longevity. You know what I mean? And also, if you look at it from from an overview, like, and you count good possessions against bad possession, the less amount you play, the more good possessions you're gonna have.
Yeah, I understand, but I just disagree. I think like his reasoning is just based on the business. And then for me as a basketball fan, I mean NBA fan, you would have to split two different eras in NBA. Like all those accolades, all those records, you would have to take under consideration
Oh yeah,
like 40 minutes
that's
games,
true.
not 48.
That's very true.
So now it's difficult to say, well, who's the GOAT, who's this and that, who's your top 10, who's your top whatever. Now you would have to have this asterisk that this is like 40 minutes game. So
That's very true.
you would have stats per 36 minutes. Now you would have those stats with some kind of algorithm. How would it look like in 48
It would
minute
definitely
game?
change the whole scenario, and like you said, errors and everything. But it would globalize in basketball, and so we're looking at one scenario when we're saying everybody 10-minute quarters. We can also change that scenario, say everybody 12-minute quarters. For me, as a player that played 22 years professional basketball on all continents, basically, like that's a lot of minutes. Like if you look at the NBA game, it's 82 regular season games. That's a lot of minutes. Like if you're a superstar and you don't play, you get you get fraud upon because you're not playing. You're resting your body. Before we used to play all the games. I understand. It's a business, and people as a superstar, I want to see you play. But also like thinking as a player, like, it would definitely give players more of a longevity. Like people really are so intrigued and so amazed by European, Serbian, ACB basketball. Why? Because every possession counts more. People are not dribbling, walking the ball up the court like you see sometimes on NBA teams, right? Because the game is shorter, because they're taking advantage of every possession. That makes it also very more fundamentally sound, because you don't have any time to waste.
But would you say, as an athlete, would you say that really gives you longer career? Because like, I mean,
So
agree or disagree. If you come for the game, you do your preparation, you do your stretching, you have your breakfast, everything else, then you do icing, ice bath and ice tubes, whatever you do after the game to maintain your body. Does it make any difference if you play like 37 minutes or 39 since you're already...
What? Of course it makes a difference.
Does it?
So say you jump 10 times every day with 60 kilos on your back. And then instead of 10 times every day, you jump in 12 times. Every minute you play is more kilometers on your mileage. More opportunity for you to get hurt.
Well, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying for longevity-wise for the players, okay, their stats are going to go down because you're playing 8 less minutes. But for the longevity and for the health of the players, it's very beneficial because A, you're globalizing the game with the same amount of times everywhere. Okay, for the fans, I understand it's not going to be the same because there's NBA fans who love maybe or are used to that tempo, and then there's European fans who are used to that tempo. Now, if you globalize it and everybody starts playing the same way, then basketball becomes more of the same sport.
Well, but if you globalize it, you would have to go with the rules, timeouts, and stuff like this. I'm just like, my only knock on this is like you still have as many amount of timeouts, as many commercials. So the product itself, it's hurting because you get rid of the playing time, but you're not getting rid of the
When you
extras.
watch, let me ask you this: when you watch an NBA game, you watch the whole game?
I'm trying.
You're trying.
Yes,
It's hard, isn't it?
Sometimes I'm struggling, but why I'm struggling?
If you're
Because
watching a European game, which is 8 minutes shorter by television time, that could be 20 minutes shorter, are you paying more attention because it's shorter?
Yes, but
That's it.
No.
That's the point I wanted to
No,
make.
this is not the point. The
This
point
is
is
the point.
No, the playing time. The playing time doesn't do any wrong to me. The stoppages, video reviews, commercials, timeouts. That's the thing that distracts me from the game.
I'm not going so much into that because obviously, honestly, I don't know how many commercials there are.
I can tell you too many.
during these times, but I'm for globalizing the game and playing the game the same way everywhere. I'm not saying it has to be 10 minutes. I'm just saying that I think it would be better for basketball if all the rules for basketball globally were the same, just like football. right? You don't play football differently with different amount of minutes on, different continents, right? You play
Absolutely,
the same.
100% on the rules. It's people don't realize. I cannot say it's two different sports, but kind of it is. Like 3 seconds on defense in the NBA.
Right.
It makes the game so different. Like you just
Huge
drive, you
difference.
drive and kick, you drive and pass, read
That's
and react. You don't
right.
see like a big body in front of you
So
underneath
in
the
my
basket.
opinion, there should be no 3 second rule. I mean, there should be a 3 second rule. I'm sorry, because if you look at basketball and the things that fans like, and basically all people like, are highlights, and that's where the NBA really sets itself apart, right? Protecting their superstars, having superstars per team, and having great highlights. And if you have space, which basically in Europe you have less of,
The
because-
floor is bigger in the NBA.
exactly that too. That makes more highlights, more cool plays, more dunks, etc., etc., etc. So from a media coverage standpoint and fan base standpoint, I think the European game should adapt that, because then there will be more fun, actions happening.
Wouldn't you say at the same time it would take away a little bit of this like quote unquote European style of playing?
Exactly. So that comes to globalizing the game, right? Adding the same timelines, and then adding kind of the same rules. Like, imagine if all of a sudden now in Europe we play the NBA game. Like, you would have two NBAs, right? You
Maybe.
would exactly. That's exactly what you would have. And then, the two champions would play the world championship, because it's ridiculous. Like, for me as an athlete, when you win an NBA championship, and obviously I've never won one, I've never been near winning one, but when they come out and they say they're world champions, they're not world champions.
No, they're not.
They're the champions of North America.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, there used to be, remember this McDonald's tournament?
Yeah.
Kind of like unofficial
Yeah.
clubs championship.
Yeah.
That was cool. I would bring it back.
Yeah. Well, we're bringing the Lampe Challenge to you now, so wait for that.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I've had my tournament in Stockholm, Sweden, where I grew up now for 19 consecutive years, which is such a blessing. And you mentioned Joachim Samuelsson before. Shout out to him. This is my youth coach, who put this dream of basketball in all of us who were playing on the team. Our team in Sweden was very historical. Like, we didn't lose for like 2 straight consecutive years. And this is the age group of 85, right? Because you play age groups. We went to Russia, we played CSKA, we won. We went to Lithuania, where we competed against people like Linas Kleiza. We traveled all over Scandinavia and Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and played in basketball tournaments. And then he decides to make a tournament in my name, which I'm super grateful for. And this has been going on for 19 consecutive years now. And this year I want to make an extension of this tournament, continuing with the name, but playing 2-on-2 basketball. So I just got confirmation from the Swedish Basketball Federation that they're giving me the green light on it. And I'm going to do it at the club in Sweden with the most members in the whole of Sweden. This is a club that has this open gym concept, where me growing up in Stockholm, I was able to go to basically this gym and play basketball after school, before school, because it's always open.
Frishuset.
Exactly. And I've been there for New Year's. I've been there for Christmas by myself. So I presented them with this opportunity, and they jumped right on it. They're excited as me. It basically gives me a new stage, and it's a new game. So 3-on-3 basketball, in my opinion, was a great thing, but it's dying, in my opinion, okay? 1-on-1 basketball is on the rise. Like Tracy McGrady, who you mentioned earlier, is creating a 1-on-1 basketball league in the United States. Even the NBA wants to bring 1-on-1 basketball as one of the things in the All-Star game.
That's not going to happen.
Who knows?
I
Doesn't
don't think
matter.
so. All right.
But it's great. Now, if you look at it, and you look at basketball in general, 1-on-1 is lacking all the fundamentals that 5-on-5 has, which is the pass, the screen, all of the fundamentals that it has. 2-on-2 doesn't. 2-on-2 has absolutely everything. So we have changed the rules a little bit. We have created a 128 player per day format. And I'm very excited about this project. I think it's gonna become big, and it's gonna become a summer league. We closed Sweden basically in July. We're about to close Poland. We're about to close Madrid. We're in talks in Catalonia. And then there's another location that I would really want to do, especially with what's going on in the world right now, which is Russia. I've played there for many years, and I'm in talks with the federation there to adopt this idea of my basketball format and of my Lampe 2x2 challenge. It's a fully sustainable, self-sustainable tournament, so it's not like I need sponsors or I need anybody, with great prizes. I mean, you pay a small fee and you're able to win basically 1,000 euros if you win the tournament. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. I came up with this project traveling through Southeast Asia in the beginning of the year, something that was extremely beneficial for me. I recommend everybody travels. It's been a big part of my life. I was very blessed to play basketball all over the world and travel around as a kid. Got clarity, wrote down my goals for 2025, which I would like to share with our viewers.
Please do.
If you don't mind. And yeah, extremely excited. Let me...
Do it.
You want to do it now? All
Sure.
right. Starts with basically sentences where I'm saying what I want, right? So I want to have my 2x2 basketball summer league tournament in Poland, Sweden, Spain, and Russia. I want to start another business, a business that I believe in, like Olawash and Hue Protect, which I'll tell you about in a little bit, which are two companies that I'm a brand ambassador of on my website. If you guys go on maciejlampe.es, you can get more information on that. I want to start my own podcast. So that's check. We've already done that. Where I want to do it with you. Obviously, I've written that down. I want to be a good role model, a great brand ambassador for all brands that I'm involved with. So Hue Protect, Olawash, To Walk Again, Avix Education, etc. I want to provide services as mentoring, coaching. I want to do fitness content, abs, mobility, big man workouts, footwork, injury prevention, nutrition, and mental strength. I want to be a great father for all three of my children. I want Dominic and Noah to get their passports so I can be with them constantly through the future of their lives. I want to become financially stable again, not to splur, but to be a good father for my children. I want to coach basketball as I feel like I can give back and I have an extensive experience and knowledge of the game. I want my children to be proud of me. And I want to have a positive impact in their lives. I want to be healthy and mentally strong. I want to stay true to my values. I want to inspire. I want to pursue acting. I know I can do really well in acting. I want to shoot a commercial for Olawash and create content for them as I believe in this company. I want to work with Julio, who's the camera guy. I want not to be scared to pursue all of these things as they are coming from my heart. I want to do comedy with Julio, so I'm going to try to start doing sketch comedy, which is basically like the Dave Chappelle show.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a fun project. I want to throw a celebrity boxing event, which we can talk about here in a little bit in more detail. I want to promote mental health, as well as helping athletes transition from their professional careers to their careers after sports. I want to have my own apparel, which basically just happened yesterday. I can get into that with you in a second, where I can start doing t-shirts and hats and jackets with slogans and educational messages. I want to figure out how to start my own shoe brand, which is something that would be one of my goals. I want to be grateful and I want to stay humble. And these are some of my goals for 2025. I wrote these down and I wanted to share with the viewers because I think it's really important to write your goals down and proceed them. Because one thing is to have goals with no deadlines, which are fantasies. And one thing is to have goals and set a deadline. So for example, in the next 3 weeks, I want to accomplish this. In the next 2 weeks, I want to accomplish this. And I think that's the way of moving through life if you want to become a successful person in any field. Like when I started playing basketball, I remember when I started playing, I wasn't the best guy on the team, you know. I was like third, you know. The best guy was a Turkish player, Alper, who would score like 20 points a game. And I remember just sitting in my room, looking at the statistics and thinking like, okay, next week there's a game, a week after that. Week 3, I want to score 20 points a game. It's the same thing in life. So basically this year, I retired in 2022, went on a little party splur there. I thought that's what I needed because, you know, I've been so disciplined and I've been playing for so long that I kind of wanted to just be out there. But I was just stuck in the same place. So this year I feel like I've really gotten clarity. I don't go out. I don't drink alcohol. I get up early. I go to the gym every day. I have two things that I do on a personal note, which is one good deed a week club. I don't know if you've seen that on my Instagram,
I
where I
saw
try
it.
to spread gratitude during the weekend. So last week I gave out pizzas. I helped my friend move. It can be anything, but I think it's really important. And I got the running club. So these are things that I'm doing on a weekly basis. And if you think about it, you know, moving through life and moving through week by day, by month, you know, this is time. This is time that you're wasting. So if you're going out, you're drinking alcohol on the weekends, you know, you're basically pouring poisoning into your body to numb your mental capacity. So this year is going to be, it's already has started to be a groundbreaking year for me. You know, I've gotten clarity, or a lot more clarity that I've had, and I'm just pursuing my goals.
Well, the list is very impressive.
Thanks,
It,
man.
it touches on many different fields of life.
Thank you. There's also one thing that I wrote that I didn't read was that I don't want my ego to stand in my way of accomplishing all of these goals.
Is it the case? Was it the case?
In sports, ego is really important, you know, because you might not be the best player, but if your ego and your mindset is bigger than your opponent, then you're gonna beat them. It was the case with me many times, you know, like going into basketball games as a kid, especially with Polisan, you know, the team that I mentioned that I played for when I was young. We weren't the best team on paper. Like, we had kids from all over. We had one Swede on the team, so we had kids from Africa, from Russia,
Balkans.
from Balkans, from Turkey. You know, we had from Iran, from Iraq, from countries in Africa, from Ethiopia. We had a group of guys who got the taste of winning from their first basketball tournament, you know, and that's what carried me in my career. That tournament, that first tournament we won, you know, all of us will never forget that. And after that, we just started knocking people out. And we weren't better. Like, there was a team, they've made a TV show about this in Sweden. There was a team in Södertälje. They had like 7 or 8 guys over 2 meters when we were like 13 or 14 years old. And we used to play them. And, you know, in the warm-ups, they just looked like they would destroy us by 40, but just our mental edge of getting in people's head and getting in your face, you know, is something that is extremely important. So ego can go both ways. You know, ego sometimes can be something negative, because if you have a big ego, sometimes people can say, oh, you're pretentious, you know what I mean? Or you can try to come back with, no, I'm passionate, you know? Ego needs to be controlled. You know, your ego when you're playing also needs to be controlled, because if it's too much of an ego, then it can be a problem. You know, a lot of people, you know, you look at the Michael Jordan documentary, right? Biggest ego ever, right?
Yeah.
You know, why is that ego validated? Because he won. Without that win, that ego is not validated. He's an asshole, right? But if you make it and you have the ego, then the word validates it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, you know, this is very interesting topic about ego, based on the multiple conversations with you, based on NBA stories, based on different players I've seen, I met. I would say it's kind of like a weapon. You have to use it accordingly and wisely, because
Good. Yeah, good.
like,
Well said.
like, you know, obviously you can compare people athletically. Like, you have people 2 meters, they can jump 1 meter, 20 centimeters over the floor, whatever the case might be. But the ego, this is the thing that splits you from the best ones, the best one from average ones. But then I remember the thing you told me about Mario Herzonia.
Yeah.
And yourself, like,
Right.
you're
No
at this,
fear.
no fearlessness.
Fear.
You're at this point of your life.
I remember Antonio McDyess came up to me one day. He's like, don't ever change. Because I wasn't afraid of shit. Like, you couldn't tell me anything. Like, when I was 18 years old and I made it to the NBA from Real Madrid, fuck you gonna tell me, man? I got my family on my back. You know, about to make bank. Like, it's hard. People don't realize that, you know, when you're competing every day, you know, in a game like basketball, it's hard to like just kind of fucking knock that competitiveness out and stop it during your regular day.
Yeah.
You know, it forms part of who you are. That's why a lot of times athletes are misunderstood.
That's one thing, and another thing, it's essential to have wise people around you
Right.
to hold you accountable, right?
Right. I've always kind of been more of a loner because, you know, I went to Madrid when I was 15, and when I was 18, I went to the NBA by myself. So I didn't have a good circle of people around me, and that, you know, maybe wasn't the best thing for me. But in my defense, like, I've changed countries every 3 years, you know, so, and also I came up, you know, kind of a broken household, you know. I kind of wanted just to not be home when I was growing up as a kid, just do sports and do my thing, because, you know, there was a lot of arguing and stuff going on in the house. So, yeah.
On the Zion Williams example, like you see him losing weight, gaining weight. So I guess he's at this stage of his life that like nobody can tell him anything, and probably in his inner
You
circle
mentioned
he doesn't
Mario
have. Yeah.
before we get to him. So what I saw in Mario reminded me of myself, because there was nothing you could tell this kid. Like, the coach could scream at him and be like, that's a bad shot. Next possession, he would take the same shot and make it, and look at him. You know what I mean? That type of fearlessness. That type of like, no, it's me. It's my time. Like, nothing's like that. That type of fearlessness you don't see in a lot of people.
But would you say on his example, because he's a perfect example, he's like super talented. I had a chance to see him many times on Croatian national team, a couple of times on
He's his own enemy.
New York. That's what I was trying to say. Like,
That's what people were
that's
saying
the
about
time,
me.
that's the place, that's the person like begging for somebody to tell Mario, you can be the best here, but listen to us. Help me help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the part he was missing.
This is the funny thing, like, people have expectations of players, just like we're talking about Mario and they had about me, but people don't know these guys. You know, so you have a guy that you see playing basketball and you see how talented he is, and you're like, oh shit, this guy can be the next
Whoever,
Nowitzki, next whoever, LeBron James. That's your expectations of somebody that you're seeing that you basically know nothing about. And that translates a lot of time, you know, in fans and things across the world. Like, we as humans, we don't know what people are going through inside, you know, each and none of us. So for me, like, comparing myself to Mario, for example, we're kind of in the same boat, where I bet you he's really proud of his career. And I bet you he's really hurt that he's not winning with Real Madrid, you know, because it's time for him, you know. Like, if he doesn't win now, he's going to basically have this stigma on him that, yeah, you were hard to handle. Yeah, you were just like too much, you know, but if he wins, then he's a superstar again. So, you know, people are different. You're always going to have different type of personalities and different type of backgrounds and different type of players during, you know, on a team. You know, I think sometimes it's not really wise to jump to conclusions because you particularly, or anybody, feel that guy should be on your expectation. You know, every career is different, and I think the most important thing in every sportsman's career is to to hold themselves accountable, you know, for the path that they take.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, themselves, by using many different tools, like friends, family, or any platform you would have to use.
A lot of times you don't know that until you grow up. You know, when you're playing a sport and all of a sudden you're getting recognized and you're getting good at it and you're signing with teams, like, you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not coming from a good support system when you're young, then you don't know what a support system is. Like, for me, like, what support system? It's me, my relationship with God, in a room at night, thinking through my day. That's my support system. You know, and it's different for everybody. Some people can go and talk to their families about this and that, you know. Some people don't have that.
We are back after a little break.
Yeah, we're back, and we've been going on about myself a little bit. So I wanted to ask you some questions now.
Sure.
So you were born in Poland.
Yeah.
Just like me, right?
Yeah.
And you are living in Åland.
Exactly.
Which is an island.
It is.
Outside of Sweden.
Yeah.
With how many inhabitants?
30,000.
30,000
11,000.
How long have you lived in Sweden and how have you lived in Holland,
Well, only Holland. I've never lived in Sweden.
which is Sweden?
Well, you can say so.
I mean, it's not a passport for Holland.
Well, yeah, it belongs to Finland, but
It belongs
Swedish.
to Finland?
It belongs to Finland, but
Oh.
language spoken is Swedish.
Really?
The fun fact. There's a fun fact.
Yeah?
Finland has two official languages, Swedish and Finnish. But Swedish as a mother tongue is spoken by like 6-7% of
Right.
people. Well, I've been living there permanently over well over a decade now. But the first time I was there 20 years, more than 20 years ago.
So you have dual citizenships like me. You have two passports, right?
Well, not yet.
Not
I
yet.
mean, I've passed my exams, but I am too lazy to apply for citizenship.
Oh,
to be
okay.
honest with you, yeah, I've done it. I've passed
So my
exam.
son, my youngest son Adam, has 4 passports.
Wow.
Yeah, because his mom has 2 and I have 2. So that's the only way for you to have 4,
All right.
which is insane, which is great for his future. I mean, you know,
Is it legally possible?
that's what I'm saying. If the mom has dual citizenships
All right.
and the dad has dual citizenships, this is the only way for you to have 4.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have dual citizenships and you have a kid with somebody who has dual, you could have 4 passports.
You can play your passports like cards, depending on the country.
You know what? I was just in Vietnam and Shamek, what's his name? Shamek 3-on-3? Zamoyski, my bad. He was in Vietnam as well and we were going to meet and he was like, don't you need a visa? Because he's traveling on his Polish passport. And I was like, I don't know. I was just there like 3 weeks ago. They didn't ask me. The Swedish passport,
All right.
no visa.
Okay.
Yeah, so situations like that or just situations where you can be a citizen and open a bank account or whatever, it's just a huge plus. But anyway, can you tell me a little bit about how you started your journey in basketball and how you became the journalist that you are today?
Well, long story short, well, there was no basketball tradition in my family, so I always say like I discovered basketball for myself. I you know, early 90s, I had a chance to see NBA game and I liked it.
What was the game?
I can remember. I cannot remember, but I was like, I don't know, like 90, maybe 91. I remember I was watching the finals 91, Lakers against Bulls.
Lakers against Bulls.
Yeah, 90-91.
That's Magic Johnson and those guys, right?
Yeah. The Lakers won the first game and the Bulls won.
I didn't watch those games.
Yeah, the Bulls won the 4.
The games that I watched was Michael against Utah.
All right, 96 and 7.
Yeah.
No, 7 and 8. 6 was the Sonics.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so the love for the game developed. I started playing, but unfortunately, I wasn't good enough to play pros. But
And
I call myself professional amateur.
That was in Poland?
Well, yeah.
That was still in Poland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you know, the internet pop up. The blogs.
You started a blog?
Yeah, blogs, websites, and I was since I remember, I was like talkative. I wanted to talk.
Karol Movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is a great name, man.
I liked
like
it. Well,
it,
people said that maybe like you know, you're too cocky about yourself, but I've been always like that.
Those are the people who are jealous most of the time saying that.
And you know, it's funny to me because nowadays people do this own brand, and
Yeah.
I've been doing this without knowing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then, well, I graduated political science, but I also graduated journalism, the thing I really liked. So when I graduated political science, I did journalism too.
Nice.
So yeah, first couple of years solely on my blog. Then I joined MVP magazine.
Oh yeah, I was on the cover of that.
Yeah, you were on the cover of that. Yeah, we done.
I remember another magazine in Poland. It was not called that MVP magazine. It was something else back in the
Magic
day.
Basketball many years ago. Pro
I don't know.
Basket many years ago.
I don't know what
Back
the
in
name
90s.
was, but
Super Basket, there was, I think, another magazine.
in Sweden there used to be one called 305 because that's the
height
height of the rim.
Yeah.
I was in that one as well. I was there. I was in that one there. You remember Magic Johnson came to Sweden?
Played for Boros.
Yeah. So he played the game, and in Fryshuset, I think they have this picture. And at the end of the game, everybody in Globen rushed down on the court to say hi to him, you know? And there's a picture of me with a Kings, Los Angeles Kings hockey team, mössa, a hat on, just like, hey, you know? And he's like basically saying what's up to me. It's a historical picture. But anyway,
Crazy.
tell me how was your journey, and how did you get into the NBA basically? Because I guess that's the goal of every journalist, to be able to cover the best sports leagues in the world.
Well, simultaneously to my blog, which is now called a website, but I will go to this a little later on. I worked for Eurobasket.com.
Okay.
I worked for MVP Magazine, obviously, and on behalf of MVP Magazine, I had a chance to get my first credentials for the NBA. But then, after like 5-6 years, our ways split up with MVP Magazine. So I've been developing some relationships in the NBA.
Are they still existent?
They do, but just as a website, not any longer as a magazine.
These type of magazines, they come and go, huh? The one that survives is, I guess, Slam.
Yeah,
right?
like nobody reads newspapers nowadays, like paper newspapers, like real papers.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, that was a great thing growing up in Sweden. We used to have, sometimes I rode the bike, but I had a 5 metro stop, tunnelbana stop, ride to school, right? So in Sweden, we used to have Metro newspaper, which was free. So every time you were on the metro in the morning for 15, 20 minutes, you just used to, look what's going on in the world and have a quick overview of what's written in the newspaper. I think the world is really missing that.
Yeah, so going back to my story, since I have developed some relationships with NBA people, I said, I'm going to test my waters. I'm going to test jumping into deep waters and doing this solely as a quote-unquote freelance journalist. And they just told me, just switch your name from the blog, just get rid of the blog name, because they don't let bloggers into NBA. Not any longer. Back in like 26, 27, 28 probably, everybody was welcomed because they thought that blog is something new in the journalism, something new on the internet. It's like passionate people with knowledge. But it went against the NBA. So they just told me basically we appreciate you, we appreciate your work, just get rid of this blog name and just do what you do. So
well, going back to Polish journalism, like I told you before, like my history with them has not been great, because basically I told them to leave and not to interview me when I played in the NBA. And then, when I came to the national teams, it was always like this guy, coming in here, taking our minutes, not growing up in the country. And also the stigma of being like
different,
niewychowany, whatever you want to call it, by not having the same mentality, I guess. And then also, a lot of articles being published that are basically not true. Like when you mentioned to me just a minute ago, my wife, like I've never been married. And these are things that needs to be changed and need to be corrected. That published false statement, I need to do the same here, because, as an athlete like me, not growing up in this country, and they're writing stuff about me, not always, having a looking about it, my family sending me articles that I didn't even do. These are things that now, when I'm trying to build up my personal brand, matter. Like when I'm playing and my head is on the next tournament, event, whatever the case may be, I don't really want to deal with that. It's like, is they going to change something? I was focused on that. But now, I definitely want to clean some things up.
Yeah, I would say not knowing you before, just following your career, I would say you were misunderstood on many occasions.
That's a word.
Remember, we have done this pod in Polish for Kanal 5. The very first thing I said, Polish is not your main language, right?
It's not, yeah.
Would be Spanish, Swedish,
So
English.
we spoke Polish at home, but like I said, I left my house when I was 15 years old, so ja mówię po polsku, ale nie mam ogromny kaliber słów.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I express myself a lot better in English, which I speak on everyday basis, or even Spanish.
Swedish as well.
Yeah, Yeah, Swedish probably even better. So Polish would be like the fourth language if you put them on a pedestal.
Yeah, so that's the thing people don't realize and don't understand. And I remember myself when you were drafted, and I told you about it. Like somebody is asking you a question in Polish, and and you said, "quote I cannot speak Polish right now." I said, "Such a jerk! Why not?"
Why is that? Yeah.
No, but because I didn't know. I didn't know
Right.
your story. Like
Right.
Polish is not your main language. So I said,
Right,
"Why?
right.
Why don't you speak Polish?"
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that one, but sometimes I've been in situations where I had to translate for people because we come to Poland like with my family or something, and the person that I'm with doesn't speak Polish. You know how mentally exhausting it is to switch from one language to the other. And
I
have
can
it,
imagine.
you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's just easier to keep it in English.
But it's funny to me sometimes when you call me or you record your voice message, you start your sentence in Swedish,
Yeah.
then you speak Polish, then you
Yeah.
end up in English because
Yeah.
I speak three languages, so you can feel comfortably with me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but it's funny from this linguistic point of view, and my kids growing up in this Swedish spoken environment, the way they play with languages, it's so amazing to me.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day in what language I think. And I stopped for a second and I thought to myself, it depends what I think about it in the situation I'm in. Or was it what language do you dream? That was the question. In what language do you dream? And it depends completely on the scenario, like on where I'm at, who I'm with. Everything plays a role. Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
I don't know if it's so amazing. I mean, people think it's something, I guess. For me, it's natural because of me moving around, So I moved from Poland to Sweden when I was 5. I moved to Spain when I was 15. I had to learn Spanish. I was going to school there. And then automatically being Swedish, I knew English, and then added Russian. I don't read Russian, but I can hold a conversation in Russian, which is just by living there, not really by learning it, it being a Slavic language.
So you're talented,
Yeah.
you can say.
So I
You
guess
can understand Turkish as well.
not really. No.
No, a little bit.
No.
All right.
I know some words, but no.
All right.
Again, to all the Polish viewers, I'm not apologizing. The English lessons are free. I think I just expressed myself better at the moment in the English language. That's why we're going to put subtitles on this.
Yes, so thank you, Maciej, for this first episode, and hopefully people enjoyed it. And there is some stuff away from basketball you wanted to mention, your website.
Oh, yeah. So just knocking out my goals, staying with clarity. I've done, a friend of mine did my website. It's maciejlampe.es, since I live in Spain. There you can get a little bit of an understanding of who I am and the companies that I'm an ambassador for. So we're gonna add two more companies this week, but and also the Polish version and the Spanish version is gonna come up in the next couple of days. But let me tell you just a quick overview of the companies that I represent. So first company is Huprotec. This is a Swiss company that makes water stations and domestic machines that make water out of the atmosphere. So me growing up in Sweden, and you know this, we can drink tap water, right? Which is not the case in many places around the world. And we are 70% water. So that's an essential, right? So basically, they can set up these water stations that are able to produce up to 300,000 liters of drinkable purified water per day, which is insane. So now all of a sudden, if you set up this water station in a place where the humidity levels and the temperature levels are correct for this place to work, for this machine to work, you can have your own water brand like this, right? They've also transitioned into domestic machines. So they have a machine producing from 25 liters a day to 75 liters a day. In about 3 weeks, I'm going to have one of these machines and I'm going to create content on it. But the video that I would like for you guys to watch on my website, and if you click on Huprotec on there, on the ambassador agreements, is a video of them testing the water that is in plastic bottles and what it contains. So it contains a whole bunch of stuff that is not good for you. Like if you leave a plastic bottle in the car and the sun hits it and you come back after an hour and drink that water, you're drinking poison. Okay? So this company I'm really excited about. I think that in a couple of years, we're all going to have these machines in our home, just like an espresso machines where we just, put a glass up and we can fill up our cups with pure drinkable water. So that's one. The other one that I'm very excited about, since I've been playing for a long time and I get a lot of messages from parents and from players, is Avix Education. So Avix Education is a company based out of Alicante, Spain, but now also has a huge office in Madrid. And their main focus is to give kids opportunities and scholarships to pursue their dreams, basically, and give them scholarships in the United States and Canada. So there's different ways. I mean, I get a lot of basically CVs sent to me from parents and from different kids all around the world presenting themselves to me, and I present this to Avix Education there, who later picks the best candidates for sports, for education, whatever your path may be, and they try to guide you in the right direction with the best schools in the world. So this is something that is awesome, because when I was growing up, like we mentioned before, I think like when I was 14 years old and I was getting recognition, for winning the Scania Cup and being the MVP of the Scania, I was, getting recognition in Scandinavia. And there was always like, oh, should we go to the States? Should you go to high school in the States and play there? And I remember just a lot of players from Stockholm used to go and not make it and come back and used to say, it's just not the right place for me. So this company, if you're a good athlete or if you're an exceptional student, if you have some type of great story to back you up, provide services where they will, get you a scholarship and put you in the programs that you need to be successful and to fulfill your dreams. So that's amazing. The third company that I'm involved with is a nonprofit organization, which is called To Walk Again. It's a story about a triathlonist that was getting ready for the World Championships in Lanzarote, Spain, and had an accident and broke his back. He went through the rehabilitation process in Belgium. And like rehabilitation clinics and hospitals are businesses, they need injured people, right? So as soon as he was basically able to walk again, they sent him out into the wild, and it wasn't enough, and not all the time we have the financial needs to be able to pay the rehab clinics and hospitals to have the necessary rehab. So he started this foundation, which is called To Walk Again, where every year they do a march. So the first march was 100 kilometers. I think this year's march is going to be 106 or 107 kilometers. And this march is to spread awareness. So I'm a global brand ambassador for this because I think, I've been to a lot of rehab clinics. I've been injured in the course of my career, and I've seen people, especially in motorcycle accidents or things like that, going through the procession of rehabilitating themselves in order to be able to function in society. And this place is basically a place where you don't pay nothing, So if you're injured, you can go there and get rehab for free, which is just an amazing thing. So yeah, I'm very, very proud to be part of this organization. I'm obviously going to do the march. So basically what we're doing is, we're donating money. I'm donating money, and people that I know are donating money to this foundation in order to have people being able to basically have the need, or to be able to walk again, to be able to move around and feel free. The fourth one is a company based out of Barcelona called Ola Wash, which is basically going to revolutionize the way we do our laundry. So like me as an athlete, I sweat a lot. I change clothes twice a day, It's a lot of laundry, right? So they came up with this concept, which is going on in Dubai, and it's popular in some places around the world, and in cultures that it's not, it's coming. So it's coming 100%. It might come to Poland. So basically what it is, they give you two bags, one for 6 kilos or one for 12 kilos, where once a week you can schedule pickup and they bring it the next day. So for a monthly subscription of 39 euros or 49 euros, depending on the bag, they come to you once a week, pick up your dirty clothes, and return them within, 24 hours or something like that, all clean and all ironed in plastic, basically. So what does that help you with? time management. You know, you don't have to go and wash your clothes, take them out of the dryer, putting up to hang. Now all of a sudden, you pay a fee of a monthly subscription, and you got that covered. So they have 5 locations in Barcelona. They had 3 a little while ago. Now they have 5. They're gonna have 10 before New Year is over, and the next stop is Madrid. So I just think it's a great idea for every household. You know, if you have 2+ kids, you know, kids use a lot of clothes. You know, they get dirty a lot, and now you can pay just a monthly subscription where a car comes to your doorstep that picks up your dirty laundry and delivers them clean the next day. It's just a fantastic thing. So very happy to be part of Ola Wash and just spreading the message.
All right, Maciej.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
one.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching and listening to our very first episode of Lampe Śliwa Talks. See you in the next one. Make sure you subscribe.
That's right. And
Comment.
don't forget sponsors, any companies that would like, oh, I forgot. I got to say something about winning, not winning. How do you say it?
Winning.
Winning, yeah. So this is a clothing sports brand that basically has been providing basketball jerseys Polish brand that has been providing basketball equipment like tights, socks, jerseys, shorts. They're even doing bomber jackets now, sweatsuits. This is going to be up on my website as well as me representing them, so you can see more about them. But I'm very excited to join them because now me, for example, I'm able to create my own things. You know, I'm able to use their web designers, and for example, for the Lampe challenge, I can make my own T-shirts, hats, or whatever the case may be. So it's very affordable in comparison to the European market. The clothes are extremely high quality, which you're going to be able to see soon on my website. And they make basketballs. And not only do they make basketballs, they make customized basketballs. So you can now write on a basketball whatever you want, have them in the colors that you want. We have one example here. The great thing about this basketball also is that it's an indoor-outdoor ball. So for a parent, when it comes to picking the ball that you want for a kid, you know, and the ball can be used for indoor and outdoor, it's great. And very affordable, very great company, very excited to form part of the team, and hopefully we can get more people around Europe and other parts of the world to join them. So yeah.
Once again, thank you and see you in the next one.
Thank you very much.